is there any kind of mental voodoo that you're doing to prepare yourself for those types of numbers, or is it just the confidence of knowing, hey, I'm good at these singles and I can hit them? Or how do you keep it together after you miss one, when you do finally miss one, which is not very often?
So going into your kind of in general, I never really go to the line expecting to break 100. My average is not 100. No one's average is 100. So I think going to the line and just expecting to break 100's already a bad idea in general. So for me, I go to the line, I just always just try for the next one. And if I do miss, I know I just missed when I'm below my average, but my average says I'm a 99.5 or whatever your average might be. So theoretically, if I do everything I'm supposed to do, I should just run the rest out. So I don't really go to the line worrying about missing or worrying about hitting 100. I just go and kind of just shoot.
Don't forget to follow us on our social media pages. Like, share, and subscribe. This podcast is sponsored by the following. Remington, made with pride in the USA. Iconic American impact. Wenig custom gun stocks. Head on down for your custom fitting. Remember, winners shoot Wenig. Shot Tracker, like having a coach on your barrel. For more info, go to takeaimtech.com. Life is too short to miss. RM Shooting Clinics, helping shooters from coast to coast. Have Ricky take your game to the next level. Zach Nannini at Northwestern Mutual. Trusted advice from someone you know. We believe in putting people first. Other supporters for Trap Talk. The Nevada State Trapshooting Association. Don't miss their 75th annual state shoot this October in Las Vegas. The NSTA puts on some great shoots, and they're going big for this year's state. Go to nvtrap.com to check out their program and all other shoots as well.
Welcome to another episode of Trap Talk. I'm your host, Zach Nannini, and I'm here with my co-host, Richard Marshall. Rich, how are you doing today?
Good. How are you doing, Zach?
We also got Dagen Voigtman. He's been on the show before, and we're doing something a little special right now. We've decided to do a series called the Ring Series, where we're interviewing the Grand American Ring winners. And Dagen won the clay target, so we're really excited to hear all about that.
Thanks for having me again. It's an honor.
Absolutely.
Awesome.
So, Dagen, tell us a little bit. You won 3 rings before. Yep. So, you've won the handicap, the all-around, and the overall, correct?
Yes, correct.
Okay, so this was your second time in the clay target ever?
Yes.
And you win it. So, you went, what'd it go, 3 days?
3 days and 800 total in the shoot-off, so 1,000
so
total.
You shot, because I was in it, and I went out in the 7th round.
Yeah.
And so then you guys finished with 200 the first night, and then you shot 200 on, was it Friday night, I guess?
Yes, Friday night, yep.
And you had lost one already. That was Ryan Glow, because he had to leave to go to a wedding. And so you broke 400 straight then on Saturday?
Yes, correct, yep.
Okay, so how many was it down to when it just came down to who was your competitor you were shooting against?
So it came down to me and Brandon Deal.
Brandon Deal,
yeah. And then the third guy that was there on the last day was Robert something. I forget his last name, but it was Robert. I'm pretty sure Robert. I can't think of it. It might come to me, but
it's
Robert,
okay.
Robert something, yeah.
Yeah. So how many did you and Brandon shoot? Just you two?
800. So I think he missed in that last box, so he probably missed around 770 something. Right in that area.
Okay. So when it was just down to you two, though, did you guys shoot 100, just the two of you, or after that the third guy missed?
I think Robert missed close to around 100 in on that last day. So me and Brandon shot another 300 afterwards. I think it was.
Oh wow!
It was 100, 150 is when Robert missed. I'm pretty sure. Don't hold me to that, but I think it was around there.
So yeah, you were more focused on what you were doing than what everybody else was doing. Obviously, yeah. I was focused on what everybody else was doing. That's why I didn't even make the shoot off. So to kind of carry this back, Dagen, this was your second time in the clay target. The first time, and I want to kind of talk about your feelings and how it felt going from day to day to day, knowing that you were in it. But the first time you ran the 200, I remember you saying that you missed early. What was that experience like going into your first clay target, if you could remember it?
So I wouldn't say I was obviously nervous because everyone obviously has nerves to some point in that. But I think for me, I just was a little underprepared the first time and wasn't ready to shoot in that dusk area. I thought I had the right glasses, but I didn't. I didn't, think I did, and it just kind of, I guess, wasn't meant to be, I guess, then.
Okay. So what did you do different?
I think differently than coming into this year when I ran the 200, I spent more time going back, just clearing my head completely, not thinking about shooting related at anything related at all, and just kind of did a complete reset and just tried to go back to like square one, kind of, I guess.
Okay. Because I know when you finished out shooting the 400 on Saturday, it wasn't real cool out. It was sunny, hot versus shooting at night where, it was a little cooler. Mm-hmm. So did that affect you at all any differently? Or, I know you're real methodical. You take your time. Every shot is the same.
Yeah.
So
I wouldn't necessarily say the heat got to me, but I just was getting wore out just from round after round after round. I was just definitely getting tired. The heat definitely played a factor in that, but
yeah. So he missed early in that last round, correct?
Yes.
So what went through your mind? Take us back to your mindset when he missed. Did you go, okay, I need to bear down, or did it put a little fire under you? All right, let's really focus. Look at each target. Take us through that.
Yeah, it was a little bit of both. Right away, right when he missed it, kind of hit me. It's now I actually, 700 and some shots. Now I actually kind of have a chance to win this. I was thinking about that for the first, 3-4 shots after that. But I told myself, if I keep thinking about not missing and winning, I'm probably going to miss. So I just told myself it is kind of okay to miss. Obviously, I don't want to miss, but just because I missed doesn't mean I'm out of it. So I kind of gave myself that reassurance that to not be careful and just keep shooting how I have been shooting and kind of let it happen.
I think that's so important because, in your mind, I've been in shoot-offs, Ricky, you've been in shoot-offs. Obviously, Dagen, you've won shoot-offs. But, that being said, you have a point where you can win it. You see the other guy miss. He just missed it in front of you. And then I think my tendency is always to go, well, let's get more tight. Let's get more methodical. Let's get more precise. Let's make sure we don't mess it up. And you just ran 775 straight by not changing anything, right? So probably changing things is going to do more harm than good. Would you agree?
Yes, 100%.
So you just keeping it the same. Now, I know Ricky mentioned we shot in nighttime conditions. We shot in daytime conditions on Saturday. Was there any particular day that was harder in the shoot-off, or was there any point in the day where you were feeling a lot of nerves or nervous about it?
I wouldn't say, obviously it's harder to shoot at night, but I think the hardest for me was the first 50 of each day. Just, the first 50 of the first day, just getting into it. Your nerves are kind of, at their peak for me at least. Then you kind of run that first 50. You make it through that first stage of going from 58 all the way to 36 or whatever it went to. You kind of made it through that first jump. You kind of settle in and kind of go into kind of a cruise control and just do what you're supposed to do. And then kind of when you start the next day, now you kind of have to go through that hurdle again and try to get restarted. And once you get started, you kind of, the nerves are still there, but they kind of come down a bit and stuff. So I would say it was just the first 50 of each day.
Yeah, and I agree with you on that. I've been through it a few times where once we tried to complete it in one day, we shot 400 that night, so 600, similar to what you kind of did on Saturday. But, that second day, it's like you get through the first 25, it's like, all right, second 25, I missed. I was like, dang it, type of attitude. But it is, I felt watching you, because I watched all the shooter. I stayed and watched you on Saturday, unlike my co-host here. He had to, go home. He had 45 minutes to drive, So, but I felt on Friday, they started the doubles first.
Mm-hmm.
If they would have started you then, I think it would have dwindled down a lot more people on Friday because you get that twilight.
Yeah, and we never really shot on that on Friday.
Yeah, and that was I was figuring they were going to do it, and then they shot the doubles first. I said, "Man, this is going to take another day."
It's kind of hard when you have all these shoot-offs bleeding over into each other. I think that affects everyone. And the other thing with you, Dagen, is like you were in those other shoot-offs too, weren't you? I mean, weren't you in some other events at handicaps or anything like that, or was it just the clay target?
I guess I was that day. I did have a handicap shoot-off, that I would have shot off after this clay target.
Did you end up doing it or no?
I waited around for. I think we got done on that Friday right around probably 11-ish in that area, and I waited around probably 30, 40 minutes, and Logan Henry was down there shooting a single shoot-off for 199s because I guess they had to wait to see what happened in our shoot-off before they could shoot. So I didn't know how long that was going to go, so I sat around for 45 minutes. I was like, you know what? I know it's the grand you should shoot off, but you got to look at the big picture, and you still got tomorrow to shoot for. So it's kind of got to that point where it's like you got to go back, you got to get rest, and you got to kind of prepare for the next day.
This is a real marathon. I mean, the 2600 is a testament of who can last all the way through. And I think, this is not anyone's opinion but my own, but I think the clay target might be the hardest one to win just because of the amount of time that you have to go. Now, I think all rings are, rings. You win a world championship, that's a world championship. But in my mind, the amount of target straight that you have to go and the mental toughness that you have to win the clay target, I think it's just so hard. And then also, everybody shoots good singles in relativity, right? Where, like, if you get into the doubles, like, there's only so many guys that can run 100 in doubles at the shoot. Where, like, in singles, you've got every year a whole list of new shooters that are busting 200 straight like it's nothing, and I'm like, damn, I don't even know these people, and here they are running, 400, 500, 600 straight.
Oh yeah, it's all different.
Hello, Trap Talk listeners. Zach Nannini here, and I'd like to thank our show sponsor, Remington. And today, I would like to go into what shells I use when I'm training and when I'm shooting tournaments. First of all, we start with the Gun Club. This is a great shell. I shoot an 1145 ounce and 1/8, and this is what I shoot for singles and both shots of doubles. The only reason I don't shoot this in tournaments is because I like a little bit of a harder shot, a little bit of a harder break, but it works great, and it's the same speed as this STS shell. So this STS shell, a little bit harder shot, figure 8 wad column, smokes the targets a little bit harder. Also, I shoot for singles and doubles, both shots. And then when I go to the back fence and I want to put the smoke on them, I bring out the Nitro 27 ounce and 8, 7.5. It's a 1235 shell, blast the targets, works really well. I hope these shells work for you, and I want to thank Remington for supporting Trap Talk.
So on that note, Dagen, this is your fourth ring, correct?
Correct, yes.
So Rick, do you know who has the most rings in Nebraska? Is it? I think you have 4 also. Is that correct, or do you know the history on that?
I have 4, and then Buford Bailey from Big Springs, Nebraska, has 4. So I've been tied with Buford since 2008 was the last time I won one, 15 years. So hopefully next year we're going to change that. It's one of them deals. It's it's like we talked. We'll bring up the sad story of Ryan Glow. Not being there. I felt bad. He had a wedding to go to. That's times these things happen. But he said, "Well, there's next year," and I'm like, man, you don't know if you're going to shoot that good next year. Dagen. We go to the shoots we want to win, but sometimes, in the famous words of Rich Bullard, the mustard slips off the hot dog, and you just don't know.
It's so razor thin at the top, and you just don't know when you're going to have those years, and you've got to capitalize and take an advantage. And I definitely look at Ricky as one of the best in the world, and to say, hey, 15 years I've been going to the ground, haven't won a ring. He's won a lot of damn seconds. But
I've been the Rue winner for a lot of things. So
those opportunities don't present themselves very often, and people dream of winning a ring. I know I dream of it. I ain't got one. So you guys, make me feel bad being on the show with no rings. But hey, I guess I just in the words of Matt Barthel, I got to shoot better.
Hey, listen. If you want to borrow one, I'm sure we can find a way to let you loan one.
That's okay. I don't want to borrow one. I'm not buying anybody else's ring. I want to win the damn thing on my own. But
well, here's one thing. So, like we were talking though, so Buford, myself, and Dagen have 4. Now, in that retrospect, how many trophies did you win at the Grand this year, Dagen?
Oh, yeah. Now you're putting me on the spot.
You shot every event, right?
Yeah,
So 20.
probably
it had
around
to be,
there. Yeah,
it had
yeah.
to be close to 20.
Yeah,
because he
yeah.
had all those overalls, all arounds, those 500 events.
Yeah.
I mean, you were winning in everything.
I know last year was my best year ever at the Grand, and I won 21 trophies. And I would say, because you won the 2,600 overall, correct?
Yes, I did. Yep.
Okay, so, and that's one of the things, I know Ditto has said it. Some people think there should be a ring given for that. I don't disagree, but I don't think the ATA ever will, since it's not what they've done,
Yeah.
It's not. It doesn't. The president hasn't been set on that, obviously. But I think you get to Grand Week and you have 1,000 targets, and it's on. You know what I mean? But the 2,600, I mean, that shows day in and day out, weather, heat, targets, all these different conditions. I've seen. You have one bad event in the Grand Week and you're out of it. Not necessarily true in the 2,600. You could have one bad event and just shoot balls out the rest of the way and make up for it at some level. But you're not gonna do that at the Grand. I don't think at the Grand Week, at least. I think.
No. Now, do you know how many you won by in the 2,600?
I do not know off the top of my head. I would have to look that up.
I'm looking right now. So you beat Matt and Ditto by 5 targets. You had a 25-63 out of 2,600. That's
pretty salty.
42. That's better than, what is that? That's over a 98 average.
I think so. Yeah.
It's 98.57.
That's pretty
so
salty. Now
that's salty on 2,600 birds, Dagen. I'll give you that. You salty.
So Dagen, you're 22 years old, right?
Yep. Correct. Yep.
How long are you staying in junior gold?
I don't know.
Are you shooting junior gold next year?
I don't know yet. This year I was out on the fence going back and forth what I was going to do, and it was a last minute call. So
is that something you take up with your dad's?
No, that's all my own decision. Yep. I just didn't know what I was going to do last year, and I think I
can tell you this. I don't think you're worried about going open.
No, he got no worry to come to open.
I think either way you'll do fine. You got to, follow your heart and kind of go with what you go with. I'm thinking, not confirming, but I'm thinking you probably got captain this year based on how you shot the Grand and where you were going into it.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure I looked, and I think you were 200 or 300 points ahead of Ian. I think is what it was, right around there. So, because it's always you two battling.
Mm-hmm.
So, and I'm sure he's in junior gold for another year or two, isn't he?
I think he's a year younger than me, I think.
Okay.
So
Is he a year? Oh, yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
So he'd probably be happy if you went to open.
I say you stick in that junior gold as long as you want.
I knew Zach was going to say that.
Hey. You don't want no part of that open category. It's tough.
I know. Hey, so we just came back from the Heartland Grand, and I've looked at it. Keith Ditto is going to be captain, and myself and Ryan Glow were real close for second and third. And I ended up outlasting Glow, so I was second, he's third. So I think if you jump into open, Glow's going to be like, where's that put me? He going to raise rates on you on your practice targets.
Yeah, it might slide everybody down a slot. That's what I'm thinking. But, hey, it is what it is. But the other thing I wanted to talk about was you won the clay target, but your shooting singles in general this year was exceptional, along with the Grand. What did you end up hitting in total at the Grand in singles out of the whole 900?
I missed 2 on that Monday, so it'd be a 898.
So the windy singles day, got you for 2, but the other ones you smoked out.
Yeah.
And then for the year, do you remember what your singles average was? Because I mean, I looked it up and I can't remember. Maybe Rick does, but it was rather high.
99.74. Missed 12 out of the whatever it ended up being, 4,400, 500, whatever it was.
So 12 out of 4,400. I mean, that's pretty freaking good, right? I mean, I would say, not horrible, right?
Not horrible. Listen to you.
So what are you thinking when you're getting to that number? Because that number doesn't compute for an Italian. How do you go into every singles event? I mean, do you just walk up to the line and expect to run 100, or do you work at it every time and say, I don't know what I'm going to get? Or, I mean, because you probably didn't have very many under 99 scores, I would say, right? I mean, did you even have a 98 last year in any event, or was it just 99s and 100s?
I think it was just 99s and 100s. I might have had a 98 on a 200 day for a 199 though, I think, maybe, but
that's bad.
The only one he had the 198 at the Grand in the class singles.
Did you run that one? You ran the back 100, I think.
And then in Nebraska, I had a 198, but I missed 2 on the last 100 in Nebraska, so I had a 98.
Nebraska? There. Let me look.
Yeah.
Shame on you for shooting.
I take that back. Yeah, you did have a 198 there. So is there any kind of mental voodoo that you're doing to prepare yourself for those types of numbers, or is it just the confidence of knowing, hey, I'm good at these singles and I can hit them, or how do you keep it together after you miss one, when you do finally miss one, which is not very often?
So going into your kind of in general, I never really go to the line expecting to break 100. My average is not 100. No one's average is 100. So I think going to the line and just expecting to break 100 is already a bad idea in general. So for me, I go to the line, I just always just try for the next one. And if I do miss, I know I just missed when I'm below my average, but my average says I'm a 99.5 or whatever your average might be. So theoretically, if I do everything I'm supposed to do, I should just run the rest out. So I don't really go to the line worrying about missing or worrying about hitting 100. I just go and kind of just shoot.
Just shoot.
And you see, that's a very interesting way of looking at it, because mathematically, you know that you're probably not going to run 100 every time because your number's not 100, like you said. But if you run a 99, you're a 99.74 shooter. The odds are in your favor that you're going to hit the rest of them if you miss.
Yep.
And I think a lot of people don't think of it that way. I mean, at least I've never thought of it that way. I think that's a really neat way of thinking of it, because I was raised in the Ricky Marshall world where the only average that mattered was the average on your options checked. You say, hey,
they don't pay you. The ATA doesn't pay you for a high average award. Now I was fortunate. Last year I was the high average for my first time ever in the ATA. I've been close other years, seconds a lot, but last year I was high average. Now this year, I think you're going to blow everybody away with the high average, because you got a 98.30 or 98.29.6, which in the ATA is a 98.30 all-around average. That's pretty salty.
Pretty salty.
Yeah, I mean, and that, to me, and I tried to do a little history, that looks like, and I could be wrong, so don't anybody hold this to me, but I think you're third all-time for high average. I know Stu Welton had the high average, is what it looks like, that I can think, but he shot a bunch of marathon targets, so I don't even count that. And then Leo was second that year for the second ever high average, but he shot coast to coast. So where you shot everywhere. You didn't shoot marathon targets.
You shot coast to coast. I mean, nobody's going to say that you didn't go everywhere. It wasn't like you were shooting cream puffs. I mean, you shot shoot to shoot, weather conditions all around, and did it. And were able to consistently perform at a very high level. And would you attribute that to your practice regimen, or I mean, what do you think really set you above and beyond this year? And on top of that, your doubles have like completely changed from where they were, right? I mean, they were good. You were a fine double shooter, but like you were losing everything because of your doubles. And now your doubles went to a point where they were like, okay, this kid can freaking shoot doubles. Kind of walk us through
hold on a second,
that
Zach.
stuff.
So last year you had a 98.17 average. Then this year you had a 99.05 average. But this year you broke 17 100s. So, I mean, how many hundreds did you have before that? Do you know?
It was 10 to 12. I don't know the exact, but it was right in that range.
Yeah, because you broke 4 last year,
Yeah.
and then you quadrupled it +1 this year. Now, what did you do different? Was Ryan Glow trying to help you? I mean, no, I'm just kidding about that.
I think I just, obviously, don't get me wrong, I shoot a lot of everything, but I knew going into the year that doubles is what I needed to work on. So
Yep.
I just made sure, sometimes I go to the range instead of shooting all 3 events like I usually do. No, today's just going to be doubles, and I'm just going to shoot 200 doubles or 300 doubles, whatever I decided that day, just to really hone in on the doubles. But
Okay.
also, too, I think you got to factor in all the shoots I went to. We did have a good year I did go shoot to shoot, but we didn't really catch much bad weather at the shoots I was at.
So
There
you
was
were
only
shooting
a few days that we
Yeah.
caught that were super windy or rainy. So I think you got to factor in that. You might have a super windy year or a super rainy year that makes it hard to have a high average. When this year, at least the shoots I went to, seemed like it'd be a little in your favor.
So you're saying is you shot easy targets? Is that what you're telling me, Dagen?
No, I'm just saying the weather was good, but
No, I get it. That's true. We just came from shooting the Heartland Grand. I shot the whole Grand this year. I never broke 100. I think it was the first time in several years I broke a ton of 99s. I think 6 or 7 99s. But I went to the Heartland, and we had good weather. And targets were, the targets walk a little bit there. But I broke a couple hundreds, and I was like, I only shot 400 targets and broke 2 9s and 2 hundreds. I shot 800 at the Grand and can't hit 100. So I understand what you're saying is the weather does play, an extreme amount into our shooting.
It has to, but
Yeah.
but the reality is, I don't care how easy the freaking targets are. You start averaging 98 plus overall average, 98.4 overall average. I mean,
Yep.
you could set your camper at Spanish Fort and live there for a year, and there's a lot of guys that couldn't do that, right? So it's just a matter of, no matter how easy it gets, the mental side of doing that over and over and over again without missing. And then when you do miss, holding it together, it's phenomenal. And I definitely got to take my hat off to you because, it's just very impressive what you did this year. That's why we wanted to have you on for sure because, this is one of those years you're going to probably look back on and say, wow, I shot good that year.
Yeah, shot good. I would say right now, Dagen, hands down, your scores, your averages, everything. Of course, your average speaks for itself. I looked. I don't see anybody else be able to beat you in the average.
Well, it's not even close. Isn't it like a half a bird?
Yeah, I looked a little bit, and I think I'm trying to remember if Lamont was close or not.
I think Lamont was closest.
yeah.
Yeah, but he had a 99.28 singles, 95.43 handicap, and a 98.32 doubles. So actually, yeah, he might be the closest to you, possibly. But we won't know till the ATA.
Yeah, they're going to finalize everything, and we'll get to that point.
Hello, Trap Talk listeners. Today's episode is brought to you by Wenig Custom Gun Stocks.
That being said, a custom gun stock is going to elevate your game to get the same fit every single time.
And I can attest to that. I broke hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of hundreds with my Wenig Custom Gun Stock.
I haven't broke hundreds and hundreds and hundreds and hundreds, Rick, but I did break 100 from the 27 within 7 days of getting my stock and broke 2 more that year and loved it.
Here, this is
Okay, you would take it or me?
We'd like to thank Wenig Custom Gun Stocks for supporting Trap Talk.
That being said, everyone knows.
Winners shoot Wenig.
Are we doing the end work?
I know today we've talked mostly about Accolade and, the process of doing it and all that stuff. Just to give the listener a little bit of tidbits, if you were going to tell somebody, hey, I want to work on winning the clay target one day, what would you tell them to work on from a training regiment standpoint? What maybe are some practice things that you would say are important to prepare yourself for that?
So for me, my standpoint, just this is a kind of a tip in general. I think a lot of people worry about kind of maximizing their shooting style of, moving my hold point 2 inches to the right might gain me a bird and doing all that. But I think there's so much more to gain just from a mental standpoint. And I feel like too many people overlook that and don't work as hard on their mental side of the game as they should.
I agree.
So on that mental work, what are you doing to put that in? Is that just making sure that everything you're doing before you call for the target is exactly the same every time? Or is it feeding yourself a positive a message? Or is it, writing goal statements? I mean, what are the things that you do?
So I'm not a big goal person because I think it goes both ways. You set a goal too easy and then you kind of feel like you just didn't accomplish anything, or you set them too hard and then you don't accomplish them and then you kind of feel down on yourself. So I try to set goals, but, I'm trying to make sure they're good goals and not just set too many of them. But going back to putting a thought in my head, I try to, when I'm on the line, just not think about anything. I don't like putting a phrase in my head. Like if I, you say, see the target, break the target. I don't know. Then you're starting to think about that. So when I mount that gun, I try to have just a blank thought of just nothing. And if I do start thinking of something, then I'll sing a song throughout my head or say the same thing just over and over and over to just kind of get my head back to just thinking about nothing, and then go back to not singing the song or saying whatever I was saying. But that would be while other people are shooting, not when I'm shooting.
So very clear-minded. You're not going in there with a lot of noise going to the shot. You're just trying to clear the mechanism, clear the brain, call pull, see the bird, and let your eyes do the work.
Yeah.
How about I've seen you hit a singles target. You're not necessarily doing 5 and 6 point breaks. They're pretty much smoke balls every time. Are you working on specific drills when you're practicing as far as tighter chokes or things like that to get you to the center of that bird every time? Or is it just you do the same thing in the event, do the same thing in practice?
Yep, I do the same exact thing I do in practice. I shoot an event. I'll go and shoot a box. I'll shoot by box. If that's where we're going to shoot the event, I'm going to do that. I'm not one that gets wrapped up. I don't care if I chip a target or I smoke a target. I don't think that should let you affect, some people, oh, you smoked a target, that builds confidence. No, you hit the target. I don't know. I'm just always back to all you got to do is hit the target. It doesn't matter if I cut it in half or I smoke it. It hits a hit at the end of the day. So
yeah, you're
I don't
correct.
get wrapped up in all that, got to smoke them to build confidence. So.
Yeah, no, I agree. We have a little smoke ball contest on our squad as we did last week. Zach had his skeet full choke in. Just a lot of pieces, not a lot of smoke. But at the end of the day, like I tell everybody, yeah, a smoke ball's great. And it does self-satisfaction to each individual is different. But at the end of the day, I want the line. Mm-hmm. They're not grading them. So, I'd rather have 100 chips than 99 smoke balls and a loss.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's the definite case. I mean, everybody wants 100, right? I mean, get 100 any way necessary, as long as we're not cheating, right? I mean, but it's just amazing to me to think back to 12 targets on 4,400. I mean, you go out and you shoot 3 singles events, you're running 2 of them and you're missing 1 of them.
Yep.
Pretty much.
That's pretty. Actually, yeah, less than that. He's missing. Yeah, because I know, and I think it was 13. I missed 12 on 3,400, and I thought that was and I missed 1 at the Grand. I was so.
You were like, damn, I'm good. I'm Ricky Marshall, and then we're like, oh, Dagen Voigtman's in the house.
It's singles, man. You shot good singles this year, Zach.
Yeah, you did.
It was my best singles year. I think I'm going to end up at a 99.25. So I'm working my way up the ladder. But, it's just a little – honestly, it's a confidence thing because, a lot of people can break them. But you start breaking them more consistently, and I feel like the nerves are getting farther and farther away. Not that they're gone, but, you don't come into the last 5 with those kind of oh my God, I'm running 100 straight kind of thing. It's just okay, I've been here 25 times already this year. Let's just do our job. And you go back to doing the job. And obviously you seem to be executing the job very well. And I will say this, I got to give a shout out to Dagen and Mike and his brother also, because I want to say that maybe the clay target came because you had some good karma. because you did bring me some cigars at the Grand. So anyone that's listening, if you bring me cigars, maybe you'll win the clay target too. I don't know.
And some Blantons.
Yeah, that was very, very nice of you. I appreciate it, Mike. Appreciate it. I think your brother's name's Brady, right?
Yep.
Brady. So I sent him a message on Facebook, but very nice cigars, bottle of Blanton's. I don't know what we did to deserve it, but basically he said he was a fan of Trap Talk and he loved what we were doing, and me and Ricky got some stuff, and I'm like, hey, I got to give him a plug for that.
No, it was awesome. And Dagen, we're proud of you. It's cool. You're 22 years old. Like I said, I mean, you've won 4 rings. I don't know anybody else that I can think back that at 22 has won 4 rings.
No chance. I mean, I don't think it's out there. And I think I'd love to see, where you're going with this. I mean, obviously, stick with it and keep banging them out. Hopefully don't let work get in the way too much, but you just got to have to figure that side out of it. But is there anything else that you want to share with the listeners, Dagen? Is there anything that we're missing today?
I do think there's one thing, kind of going back to that mental thing. I think a lot of people throughout the year, or they keep changing their expectations. They might shoot really good at one shoot, and now they're expected to always do that, even though in the past they've shown that they might be a little bit below that. So I think even in between rounds, if you run the first 50 in the handicap, don't change your expectation to break 100 or a 99. If you're happy with the 96 that day or 97, you don't want to just keep moving your expectations, and I think that can kind of hurt you mentally too, kind of as a mental thing.
Yep.
That's a beautiful thought. I've never thought of that because, I mean, just the other day I did that and it cost me because I ran 50 straight in the handicap and I went over there and I'm like, all right, going into the handicap, I was thinking, okay, shooting 6 or better. But when I got the first 50 broke, I'm like, all right, let's go get 100. And then it didn't work out that way. But just that shift in thought, I think that means a hell of a lot because people are setting those expectations based on how the box is going. Oh, I shot the first box good. Now I need to shoot them all good. Yeah. And that's not necessarily how this works.
Yeah.
You can't, like Dagen said, because it did happen to you, Zach. I stood right there and watched you smoke the first 50, and then you missed one, then you missed another one, and then you missed another one, and you were like frazzled because you were expecting to break the other 50. So.
Yep, and that happens. If and then conversely, we shot with
Herbie,
and he ran 99, and he missed on the last box on Sunday 80, at the Heartland Grand.
He ran the first 80 and missed his 81st, and then run the rest of them.
But he ran the rest. He didn't go into it thinking, okay, I'm going to run 100 and miss one and got disappointed and missed 3 more. He missed one and he finished. And I think finishing scores, whatever they are, is important and definitely hard to do.
Yes.
Well, Dagen, I know we're going to probably have you on again many times, and if we keep doing this ring series, it'll probably be every year. So, it is what it is. Hopefully, we can get in there and get something of our own every once in a while. But, take a year off, go to France, see some things.
This year was this year was the Dagen Voigtman series. So, I will say one thing. Hey, Zach, I was happy with Dagen being in junior gold at Wisconsin because it came down to me, him, and Wyatt. We're all 3 from Nebraska. And Wyatt's like, I want to win champion. I'm like, Dagen's like, I'll take my category. Wyatt missed. I looked over at Dagen, and he goes, I'll take my category. I was like, hey. We were like, this is easy.
He did the same thing with me at the U.S. Open this year. I was like, Dagen, I know you ain't going to miss. I feel like I might not miss. Let's see. What do you think about that? And he says, yeah, I'm done. And I said, you're a good man. God bless you.
And at the end of the day, it really does make sense that way because, it just, you're helping each other out. And
it does. It matters for points and things. And, it's difficult the way it's set up sometimes and how it shakes out sometimes. But, at the end of the day, I like it because it rewards the shooter that is the best that day. But I think sometimes, and this is not pointed towards you, Dagen, at all, but I think sometimes, because when I was in the category, if I go out there and I swing at a score and I've already got my category 1, I can go out there and swing at everybody else again for a champion, and it's like less pressure than if you're like now. If I go out there for champion, I got nowhere to fall. You know what I mean? It's like you gotta step that up, and I think that that's just a different feeling. I don't think that ever crossed your mind based on the performance that I've seen, but it is a thought.
Bad thought, Zach. He would have pounded your butt at the U.S. Open. It's okay.
It is what it is. It's all good. That's what I could say. But
exactly.
We really appreciate you being on here. And next year we'll probably do the ring series 5 times with Dagen Voigtman. And
now, Dagen, you got any sponsors you want to thank, or anybody you want to thank?
Yep, I'd like to thank Krieghoff and Winchester. They've been doing a lot for me, and it's nice to have them when you're trying to shoot all this much. So
do they need to step it up a little bit? We'll tell them. It's okay. You're kicking everybody's butt.
Say that, Dagen, he's a good kid. He don't say nothing about anybody, and he hits a lot of targets.
That's right.
Not like me, that's for sure. But we appreciate you being out there every day representing the sport well. We got to say thank you to our sponsors, Remington, Shot Tracker, RM Junior Shooting Clinics, Zach Nannini is a financial advisor, and Wenig Stockworks. If you shoot a Wenig, I mean, you're probably going to win. Maybe not against Dagen, but I mean, probably against most people. So, well, have a good night, everyone. It's been real fun, and we'll talk to you later.
See you.
yep.
Thanks for tuning in to Trap Talk.